What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another Dragon Ball Legends video. My name is D-Free here today. We are taking a look at the brand new Ultra Space Time Summon banner that should be coming out tomorrow night based on the end date for this announcement. That's typically what happens. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Hit that subscribe if you happen to be new for more Dragon Ball Legends content here on the channel. And let's go ahead and jump into it. So Ultra Space Time Summon number 9 is coming out. Kale, Caulifla, and Cabba, as you guys saw, are the brand new Sparking Rarity characters. Ultra Space Time Summon number 9 is coming soon. Super Saiyan 2 Caulifla, Super Saiyan Kale Berserk, and Super Saiyan Cabba make debuts in Sparking Rarity. It is coming soon. So this is interesting to me because over the last few weeks we've had 3 banners, something like that. We've been dropping a bunch of units, so I'm curious as to what they're doing. But I do want to point out that if you haven't noticed, they really don't care about going in a sequential order anymore for the most part. They just kind of drop stuff to buff whatever teams they want to do. For earlier on in the game's lifespan, they tried to make it all the way through the story and just kind of continue that way. They got to the Buu Saga when Hybrids released and stuff like that, and Goten and Trunks, and they did, they got there and kind of just stopped. They got Gotenks and whatever, but they pretty much just stopped after that. And they've been focusing more on dropping hype characters and then also buffing up specific teams. And it does appear here that their main focus is to add some more support to the Super Saiyan and the Female Warriors team, and potentially build up either a Universe Survival Saga team or I guess, a Universe 6 team. Because all these characters are both of those things, right? So Super Saiyan, well, Super Saiyan is, yes, Caulifla here is SSJ2, but nonetheless, Universe Survival Saga and Universe 6. So we'll see what happens here, but they obviously are trying to do stuff like that. And they are also dropping another Caulifla, who all of those same things would apply to, aside from the Super Saiyan. Unless she somehow transforms, I guess. That'd be cool. So, immediate thoughts. Kale and Cabba, they immediately slide into that Super Saiyan 1 meta that is going on in the game right now. That is not to say that they are going to be better options than some of the units that are applicable, like Gogeta or whatever the case is, as options alongside SS Bardock. But if they happen to support Super Saiyan, you could get in a position where you have a full Super Saiyan supporting team, pretty much, of Super Saiyan 1s, if that makes sense. Because when you see those teams, the Holy Trinity, quote-unquote teams, there's a few spots there that you don't really run. Maybe you want to run these units to give you guys more options, right? Because there's not a great Super Saiyan green unit. In fact, this might be the first one in the game now that I think about it. So, there's not stuff like that you can really do. He is the first one, by the way. Oh, never mind. I was like, there's actually a few here. What am I talking about? I feel like one of these colors doesn't have one, but I'm not going to spend time with that. Anyways, though, long story short, let's get back over here. So immediate thought, though, they are both Super Saiyan 1, so they do fit into that meta, just in theory, because they are Super Saiyans. Now, of course, Caulifla's SS2. She could wind up being our first ever SS2 Z-Tag supporter. Do not know if that is going to be a thing. So, moving on, though. Next thing I want to point out is in the V-Jump, right here. They mentioned that the Kale is able to obstruct combos and destroy cards in your opponent's hand. They mentioned that the Caulifla here is able to be good against no matter the enemy she fights, and she basically has anti-Saiyans built into her kit. So, since that is the case, again, these are different things that are going to be kind of relevant. And they also mentioned that the buff Caulifla, also gets a buff by being alongside a female warrior, basically. So that's either going to be Kale on a full Saiyan team with just, whoever else you run around them, and then in future units like Kefla or other units like this, right? Super Saiyan 1 Caulifla, or whatever the case is. Controlled Kale, obviously her art is actually in Caulifla's art back here, where Kale's not in her Berserk state. Base Kale, for example, things like that. Even the base Caulifla who came out. So there's a lot of option, and there will be more, but when that happens, when she has a unit like that on her team, if the enemy switches out, she gets a damage buff. So there's a lot going on here, but Caulifla seems to be the better of the two. I wouldn't be surprised if Kale is a support unit, but again, that's not enough information to go off of. I'm just kind of spitballing for you guys, let you guys know how I feel about this. But I do want to point out a couple of things. Their main viability, though, is to mainly just support the Female Warriors team as far as these two characters are concerned. I have a feeling they might wind up just being that type of support, and or the ones I mentioned earlier, right? Like Universe 6, Universe Survival Saga, they could wind up being double supporters. I think that's the thing that the game's going to be doing from now on. We saw it slowly trickle in with Goten and Trunks, the double stat boosts. I think the double tag boosts are here to stay. With the Ultra Space Time Summon that came out and stuff like that, I think that double tag boosts are here to stay. So keep that in mind. But let's go ahead and take a look at the Female Warriors before we proceed. You guys know I love this team, so I love that they're getting buffs. and you see their sparkings. Well, they are missing 2 colors of sparkings. Officially, when those characters drop, they have at least 1 character of sparking rarity per color. So that's really, really cool. And basically all of them want to be on the team anyway, because this team is actually really, really, really solid. Especially if you have especially if you have her at 5-star. So that being said, that's kind of how things are. Let's go ahead and take a look at Gorsh's translations here. Kale is able to destroy the opponent's hand and obstruct combos. I mentioned that. Her super attack is a gigantic impact. When she activates her main ability, she is able to inflict debuffing effects on the enemy. Kale sounds a lot like a support type unit. Like she'd wind up being a support type unit because she's doing all that gimmicky stuff, right? So we'll see what happens with her. But she does sound like she'd be a support type unit. Regardless, that doesn't mean she'd be bad. It just kind of means her stats will be scaled a little bit, but we'll see. So I do love what she's doing. With the introduction of more units lately, we're seeing more units that can do stuff like this, like I mentioned, coming in, destroying cards in your opponent's hand. There have always been units like that. I think Cooler destroys like 3. There's units that do stuff like that, and then there are units that reduce your opponent's key and just do things that make it a little bit more difficult for your opponent to play the way they want to play, like Deborah locking a card. Like there's a lot of stuff like that. So those types of characters will always be good in this game to me. I really do think that they're always going to be viable if they have a team that they can be on, right? So Kale will always have a team she could be on, at least one. Now, when it comes to her other end, the characters that are able to remove any sort of debuffs from themselves are going to potentially be a lot better than they have been in the past, as we get more characters that inflict debuffs or negative ailments to your characters, right, with their abilities or whatever the case is. So keep that in mind too, but still really, really nice to see, because if there's a debuff, that means she either takes less damage, does more damage, whatever the case is. Caulifla's super attack is the Crash Cannon. She's able to inflict more damage when fighting against Saiyans and is able to perform well no matter the enemy she is facing. So to me, that sounds like Caulifla is going to get type neutral. If Caulifla gets type neutral, she is going to be very, very good. She's basically going to be female Broly, which is funny because Kale, but cauliflower, broccoli, closer relation than Kale and broccoli. Okay. Anyways, that's an old joke for when we had leaks about there being a female Saiyan and we thought it was going to be the female Broly, but it wound up we didn't know there would be a second one. So, anyways, that being said, so that to me that sounds like she's going to be type neutral though, like the new Broly, and she's also a purple character. So if you take a look at the yellow characters that are available here, who would she really have to worry about? Of course, she does not want to fight against Final Form Frieza, who's actually very, very, very relevant right now. She also doesn't really want to fight against Goku Black. That being said, other than that, there's not a whole lot of primary units that she would not want to be matched up with. Of course, she wouldn't want to be matched up with, characters when she's not neutral. If she has it limited, to amount of time like the other characters have, like Piccolo and Broly. But again, that's what that sounds like to me. Because I mean, why would you mention that otherwise, right? Unless they expect every fight to be a Saiyan, in which she would always have a damage boost. So, anyways, let's come back over here. If there's a female character on her team, she increases her damage dealt whenever the enemy switches out. So punishing switches is interesting too, because of the fact that switching is one of the main, if not the main, form of defense in the game. So she's going to want to stay out there, of course, throughout those switches, but she can really, really punish them. So she's going to be one of those characters that if you're able to pilot her well, you have a high skill level, you're going to be able to really utilize that character. So that's really, really nice to see. We don't have any information about Cabba because, as you see, they did not announce him in the V-Jump, so we did not know Cabba was coming with these characters, let alone a Sparking Cabba. This is funny because, like, last week, I think, in a video I talked about how they had no Sparking Cabba, so this is really cool. He's also a Super Saiyan Cabba, as I mentioned. Green is an interesting color to be because, obviously, with potentially Caulifla being very, very good in the meta, I don't know exactly what she'll be able to do, but nonetheless, having Broly and stuff like that out there, Green is not a character or a color that you really wanted to run for the most part, but I have seen Green, unless you were pretty much the Vegeta, you didn't want to run Green. Anyways, I have seen Green more relevant lately because of the fact that Final Form Cooler is a thing in the game. So, like, since that's the case, being Green is an interesting position to be in. So I do think that he is going to be very powerful in the game just because of the typing that he has with what's available at the current moment. I don't really have many comments about the EX here. Being a red unit, I mean, whatever. She's probably going to buff these characters. That's what I'll say. But if I had to make predictions, I think at least one of these characters will have a double buff to tags at 5-star. I think all of them will. You can hate the double buffs at 5 stars. I mean, it is what it is. Nobody likes to wail at 5 stars. I really hate it. But eventually, hopefully, you guys get these characters 5-star. That's just the way the game is. There's nothing I can do about it. But I do think that they're going to have those things. It's possible they don't, though. If I had to predict what those abilities would be, it would be a mixture between something like Saiyans, Super Saiyan, Universe Survival Saga, Universe 6, and Female Warriors. That's what I would say between those types of tags. They could also do the thing that Pycon and Ginyu, I think. No, Ginyu actually is a double tagger. But Pycon, where they do elements and then a tag. Well, Kaioken Goku's element and tag as well. They could do that as well. So we'll see what happens with that. Now, if they do element and tag, for a character like Caulifla, let's just kind of spitball something. Caulifla is a Saiyan. She bonuses from Saiyan boosts. On a full Saiyan team, you can go even not even full. Like, see, like she doesn't want it. Mono Purple is busted. I do not want her to get Mono Purple support, for one. Mono Purple is busted. But in a setup where, like, she's on a full Saiyan team, maybe out Broly, whatever the case is, you can do that and then have her buff whatever other thing she buffs. It doesn't really matter because she'd be buffing herself and Broly, and then they'd both be feeding off of all the other buffs. So, like, that's a sneaky good option for these characters, but we'll see. Thank you all for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hit that subscribe if you're new. Let me know what you guys think about what is happening here. I do think that the buff that Female Warriors specifically will be getting as part of this is going to be very, very relevant because, of course, they do have, finally, the last couple of spots that they need for a full sparking team. Not that that's going to be exactly how you want to run it, though, especially if you have some of these EXs at 5-star, but we'll see what happens. Thank you all for tuning in. I'll catch all of you guys